Hi everyone, welcome back to Homegrown Passion. In today's video, I'm going to show you what our week was like. Started off the week taking out the paste tomatoes, getting bell peppers in. Most fun thing is getting the strawberry high tunnel ready to go. Got the strawberry buckets emptied, sanitized, getting them planted. Had the grandsons out here helping us, so it was a great week. So stay tuned and see what we got going on. So most of the week consisted of getting the high tunnel ready for the strawberries. First thing I did was emptied out all the old strawberry plants from last year. Got the Bato buckets emptied and I set them outside so they could get rained on and cleaned up. And then I sprayed them with a light bleach solution so they would be sanitized and let them sit in the sun for a day or so to get really clean and ready to go so I could plant them up again. So in the high tunnel, even though I had everything out, there was still a huge mess on the ground, all the dead leaves and dust and everything from last year. So Doug was nice enough, he put his mask on and got out here with the leaf blower, and he went crazy and just blew everything out of the high tunnel here, out the back, so it's all nice and clean and ready for me to get started for this year's crop. Had to watch out what was going on, had to go over to the other side and turn off environmental so nothing would go into the greenhouse, but he got it really nice and cleaned up. He did it twice for me, and now we're ready to go. The main thing I wanted to get done this week was filling up the strawberry buckets and getting the strawberries planted. So last year we used 100% of the Pro Mix growing medium in our strawberry buckets. It worked out pretty good, but I think the feet were a little too wet like I mentioned in other videos, so we wanted to try something a little bit different. So this year we decided to do 30% of the Pro Mix growing medium and 70% perlite. So trying to figure out how to do that, did some calculations, and I ended up using my 100-gallon water trough that I had left over from when we used to use it for the tomatoes. So what I did is I used a half a bag of the Pro Mix and a full bag of the perlite. So the Pro Mix is 3.6 cubic feet, so I estimated half a bag of that, and then the perlite is 4 cubic feet. So I put that all in there and mixed it all up. Grandsons had a great time doing that. But of course it's all really dusty, so we had to get the water out and we had to wet it down as we're mixing it up, otherwise dust would be going everywhere. So we got it all mixed up, and then we were able to fill up our buckets out of the water trough and then bring them in here with our wagon and get them all set up. If you're wondering how many buckets you can fill with our little strawberry buckets here that we have per batch, in the 100-gallon tank there, I was able to do between 14 and 16 buckets each time. And with the boys helping me, in an hour and a half, I think we got 60 buckets done. So it wasn't that time consuming as I thought it was going to be. So we have a total of 200 buckets here, 100 white ones and 100 black ones. And it took me a total of 4 hours to get them all filled up, just to give you an idea of time management and how you get things done here in the high tunnel. So while the boys are here, they always love to help. So Doug had to pick some tomatoes in the greenhouse. So of course the boys had to go in there and pick them, and Doug makes it fun for them, and they're like, "Hey Papa, come on, let's go pick some tomatoes." And they're making jokes about the different sizes of tomatoes. It's hilarious, but they did get quite a few picked. Another thing I got done this week was one of my least favorite jobs. I had to take out the paste tomatoes because Doug made sauce out of them and they were past their prime. So I went in there, put my long sleeve shirt on because taking out tomatoes is a messy job. I should have wore gloves, but I didn't. But I got all the tomatoes out. I take them out in sections. I take out the bottom half first and leave the other ones hanging off the bobbins, and then I go on the top and drop them down into a garbage can, wheel them out to the tank and get them in the compost pile. So that was a good job I got done. So I took out the paste tomatoes. There's 6 Bato buckets there, so I have 12 bell pepper plants in there. I don't do a lot of bell peppers because I mainly grow them for me because we like them to saute and do in stir fries. But whatever's left over I sell at the farmer's market, so I have red ones, orange ones, and yellow ones going to be growing in there. So got those replaced. And with those, oh yeah, one more thing. Because a lot of times I like to reuse my growing medium, because it was tomatoes in there and the root ball was so big, when I pulled out the paste tomatoes, I threw away the growing medium, even though it was only used one time, and I refilled it for the bell peppers. Because they're a longer crop, so they're going to be in there, so I wanted to have a fresh growing place for them. So another thing that we got done this week, or I should say Doug got done, while the boys and I were working here in the high tunnel, we had a little drainage issue on the other side of the greenhouse, so he went back there with his excavator and dug a nice little trench, and he's going to put some drain pipe in there and get that fixed. You know how there's always something to be done here in the farm. So one of the other things that we got done this week, which was a lot of fun with the boys here because we had beautiful weather, we went up on our top hayfield where it's always windy, got some kites for the boys, and they had a blast flying them up there. And I was surprised how long they could keep them up in the air, and none of them got caught in the kite-eating tree. And then another thing we did one day after lunch, like I said, another beautiful day. About 4 years ago, Doug dug out the pond and got it really deep. I think some of the places are about 20 feet deep. And once it filled up the following spring, we restocked it, which was 3 years ago. We went down to Fender's Fish down in Baltic, Ohio, and picked up a bunch of different fish. I'm not even sure all the kinds we did, but dumped them in the pond. And so we took the boys fishing, and I couldn't believe how big those fish have gotten in those 3 years. And the best thing that they caught was a nice yellow perch. So threw it back in, let them grow a little bit more, but it was really nice to see that the pond is nice and healthy. I did see our snapping turtles zip around because Doug did save them when he was doing dig out. And we have all kinds of box turtles in there and frogs. It's just really cool to see the ecosystem there in the pond. So a little bit more update on the high tunnel strawberry houses, I'm going to be calling it now. Because last year we had a row of tomatoes in here, and I only have the one dosatron system in here, so the tomatoes were on the strawberry formula. They didn't like it here. They got all leggy and grew all over the place, and it was a huge mess. So we had some grow bags, which we're going to do again. I just haven't gotten that far yet, on one row, and we're going to do another row where the tomatoes were. So I'll have 2 total rows with the grow bags, which worked out really well. I seem to like the buckets better. Doug likes grow bags better, so we're going to have a contest this year to see who harvests more off of their different growing mediums here. So that's another thing Doug's been working on here with his wood miser. He's been cutting new sawhorses to set everything up because he made all these a couple years ago, so he's making some more for the new row with the grow bags. Well, here's the fennel. I'm harvesting it. I only do this crop once a year. It takes 11 weeks in the channels, and you can see it's like a total jungle in there. You have to go through and go between the channels and cut all the leaves off. I forget what they're called. Doug will put it up on the screen here. But it takes forever to do this, to get it done. So that's why I only do it once a year, because look at all the stuff I get to throw away. I know some people use that to cook, but in reality, for packaging for my CSA program, it's just easier for me to cut them back, and I put them in individual bags so they can put them in their boxes and they stay fresh. As you can see, even growing these hydroponically, the bulbs are a nice size. Nice licorice anise smelling crop. So I hope you guys liked today's video of all the different things we do during the week. And like always, leave me any questions, comments, or suggestions down below, and we'll see you guys next video.